Hey Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for being with me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. Today's episode, we are taking a look at Dynasty wide receiver trade targets. I've got 3 names for you. Don't want to waste any time. Let's get right into it. Our first player today is going to be DeVonta Smith, one of my favorite young receivers in the game. Was definitely high on him coming out of the draft this year. He has not disappointed. Let's throw our first table up. Let's take a look at him together. As you guys can see, DeVonta Smith has been pretty solid so far this season. 58 receptions, 821 yards, 5 TDs, and only 94 targets in a 14.2 yards per reception. Right now, he's a number 29 scoring receiver in PPR formats with 170.1 points, averaging 11.3 points per game. But the number that has me super excited about DeVonta Smith's prospects, 1.81 fantasy points per target in a PPR format. This is 100% indicative of a wide receiver one in the making. That is an elite number. 1.81 points per target is an elite number. And we can see he's only had 94 targets so far through week 16. Hasn't even cracked 100 targets. DeVonta Smith is going to be elite. If you're on YouTube right now, go look up some highlights. The man is a highlight reel. He makes unbelievable catches. That offense is running the ball a lot more, so his numbers have come down. But even with that being the case, he is still scoring at an elite clip. I've got a player I want to compare him to. I'm going to throw him up right now. This player has been a top 10 Dynasty receiver for the last few seasons, a top 10 scoring receiver in fantasy for the last few seasons, and DeVonta Smith is scoring more points on a per-target basis than this receiver. We're going to be talking about Stefon Diggs. Let's throw him up. We can take a look at it together. As you guys can see, what the graph says, it's in giggles, all right? But Stefon Diggs, and look at the player profiles, height and weight. You know, Diggs is 6'1", 191. We look at DeVonta listed at 6'1", 175. Similar frames, you know. DeVonta is on the skinnier side, but they're both elite route runners, and that's what makes me excited about DeVonta Smith. But you look at Diggs through 2021 through week 16, 89 receptions, almost 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns on 141 targets. He's a number 6 scoring receiver in PPR. And like I said earlier, 1.79 points per target for Stefon Diggs. Obviously, I'm not drawing apples to apples here. There's a difference in terms of targets, 94 to 140. But you can see with the volume that DeVonta Smith has been given, he is an elite prospect at receiver right now. And the thing about him is a lot of folks drafted him super high. He went 10th overall in the NFL draft. A lot of teams took him 5th, 6th overall in Dynasty rookie drafts. And because of the offense in Philadelphia being more run-heavy the second half of the season, there may be some players out there, managers out there, that are down on DeVonta Smith. If that's the case, this is your chance. This is your opportunity to jump in and snap him up at a discount. I believe the sky's the limit for him. I think we're talking about a top 10 Dynasty receiver as soon as next season. This is probably going to be your last window to go get DeVonta Smith. Our second receiver, he's in his second year. I'm really high on this player as well. I've tried to grab him in almost every single league that I'm in. He's a different receiver than DeVonta Smith. He's a big body receiver, and we are talking about Michael Pittman. Pittman's second season, he has made immense strides from year one. Let's take a look at Pittman together. We all can see he has had a nice breakout season in year 2. Pittman right now is currently the number 18 receiver in PPR scoring at 207.5 points, almost 14 points per game. 76 receptions, 971 yards, and 5 touchdowns with 116 targets. Right, so he's not even all the way up there in terms of volume. And he's averaging 12.8 yards per reception. That's nice. And Pittman, just like we had just described with Stefon Diggs in that 1.79 points per target for Diggs, Pittman is averaging the same 1.79 points per target. He's a young player. Pittman's 24. He's only going to get better. He's in the second season. As he gets better, as he establishes himself as more of a dominant receiver, he is going to see more volume. And if this volume translates, if that 1.79 translates, once he gets more targets, we are looking at a top 8, top 9 scoring receiver in fantasy football PPR formats. There's another player I like to compare Pittman to based on size and kind of how they play, and that's going to be Keenan Allen. And Keenan Allen has been a commodity for a long time. Pittman's more of a deep threat. He can go up and get that ball. Obviously, Keenan's been living in the slot, eating for years. But they're still big body receivers, and we're starting to see less and less of them. So let's throw Keenan Allen up on the screen here. You guys can take a look. With Pittman, he's a 6'4", 220-pound receiver. We look at Keenan Allen. He's 6'2", 215. Similar body builds. And Keenan, 96 receptions, 1,042 yards, 5 TDs on 140 targets this year, 10.9 yards per reception. He's a number 10 scoring receiver right now in PPR at 232 points, or almost 17 points a week. And Allen has only scored 1.66 fantasy points per target. I need you to think about that. There's a significant difference between a Keenan Allen right now and a Michael Pittman right now in terms of fantasy points per target. And this is a number that not a lot of people talk about. We have to look at that points per target because as those targets rise and as these players carve out more of a role in their offense, their volume is going to go up, their scoring is going to go up. So we can see Keenan Allen being an elite receiver for a very long time, top 10 in scoring this year, and his points per target is much less than both DeVonta Smith and Michael Pittman. All right, let's move to our third receiver. This is a guy I'm really excited about. I love the first two. The first two profile to me as elite wide receiver ones in the right situation, especially them being so young. The volume should increase. They should get better with their route running. Their body should improve, all of that. This next player I think is going to be the cheapest to be had. To me, he's not a wide receiver one, and that's fine. We can't have wide receiver ones across the board. But I think he's going to be a very solid wide receiver two for a lot of our teams. Darnell Mooney, Chicago Bears. Mooney, to me, if you look at what he's done last year in his rookie season and this year, his numbers across the board are pretty similar. His receptions, his yardage has increased. His touchdowns have pretty much stayed the same. But his targets so far have been fairly even between year one and year two. But the yardage has gone up and the points per target has gone up. Let's throw Mooney up on the screen. We all can take a look together. When we look at Darnell Mooney, out of everyone here, he was a 5th-round pick. We look at DeVonta, we look at Michael Pittman. Those were 1st and 2nd-round picks. Mooney was a 5th-round pick, but through week 16, he's got 57 receptions, 803 yards, 3 touchdowns on 102 targets, a 14.1 yard per reception, which I love. I love to see that. Right now, he's the number 27 scoring wide receiver in PPR, so he's almost cracking that wide receiver 2 already. He scored 175 points this season, almost 12 a game. And we see with Mooney, a 1.72 points per target already in year 2. Again, that's higher than Keenan Allen. And the thing about Mooney that I love is he is tied to Justin Fields. To me, Justin Fields is only going to continue to get better and better. And he obviously has a rapport already built up with Mooney. Mooney's only being in his 2nd year. He's going to get better too. He's going to get better with his routes, understanding the offense. And thank God they're probably going to get rid of Nagy, get a real offense in there. Mooney, to me, is someone to watch. He doesn't have that name cachet. He's on a bad team, but he is tied to a very young and elite quarterback in Justin Fields. Mooney, an under-radar player, already is showing he's on the fringe of a wide receiver 2 this season, and he's already showing us that his points per target is already better than someone like Keenan Allen right now. And the player I like to compare Mooney to is Marquise Brown. Before this season, Brown was kind of fluctuating back and forth. And these two players, very similar body builds, very similar playing styles. Let's throw up Marquise Brown. You guys can take a look. We look at Brown here, 5'9", 170. Mooney is 5'11", listed at 5'11", 170. So again, very similar builds. Marquise Brown, this is his 3rd season. He's looking at 85 receptions, 953 yards, 6 TDs on 130 targets, 11.5 yards per reception. He's the number 15 scorer in PPR this season, almost 217 points and almost 16 points per week. And Brown is averaging 1.67 points per target. So again, that's less than Darnell Mooney. It might be surprising to you, but these are real stats. These are real numbers. And when we look at this, this gives us a guide. If these young players continue to develop at the pace that they are, this comps that we can possibly see them, in another season or 2. We can see a Darnell Mooney turn into a Marquise Brown, or we can see a Michael Pittman turn into a Keenan Allen, and we can definitely see a DeVonta Smith turn into a Stefon Diggs. These are the benchmarks that we're looking for. All 3 of these players have elite upside. Definitely wide receiver 1 for Smith and Pittman, and definitely a solid wide receiver 2 for Mooney. And we can see the comps that I'm drawing right now just based on body size and based on points per target. I wanted to find somebody close. This is what I found. So definitely these 3 players, wide receiver, dynasty targets for us right now. I think all three are going to be undervalued. They don't have these huge names, but they've been productive. As you can see, all three are in the top 30 in PPR scoring. Pittman was number 18, so a very solid wide receiver 2 already in year 2. Mooney, wide receiver 27, right on the fringe of being a wide receiver 2 in season 2 in a dysfunctional offense. And then DeVonta Smith, rookie wide receiver, on an offense where you have a struggling quarterback and a run-heavy offense the last half of the season, and he still cracked the top 30. And he's, out of everyone listed, all 6 of these receivers, by far the most points per target at 1.81. What's not to like there, guys? So that's going to be our video. These are going to be our targets. If you have a chance to grab them, you got to get them. If you enjoyed this type of content and you like this video, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel. Be on the lookout. If you're still watching this, we are doing our RB. We're doing a recap to our RB video from, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, where we looked at the running back dynasty strategy, when to trade running backs at what age. We only used 2 seasons of data. This next video that's coming out next week, I have covered 10 seasons of data. I've been waiting until we got to the end of the regular season to get that video pumped out. 10 seasons of data. There's a lot to go through in that video, so stay tuned to that. It's going to be a big one. So, all right, Dynamo Nation, I'll see you guys next time.